let's go just the first link there. Hello and welcome to Planet of Atop the Fourth Wall Live! If this is your first time seeing Atop the Fourth Wall in live or recorded form, well, just remember that you chose to be here of your own free will, so it's all your fault. If you've come here expecting a witty, thought-provoking review of a piece of media, boy, you really don't know anything about me, do you? No, we're here to make fun of a comic book, because that's what I do. Because I'm doing this live and am reading from a script, I apologize in advance if I stutter, slur my words, or mess up my delivery. You may shun me for the rest of the day for my grievous offense. Now, you may have noticed that I'm dressed like a Pokemon trainer. I even have Pokeballs with me, a Mega Ring, a red hat, a little Bulbasaur plushie, which is not in the room right now, and bizarre white stripes on my outfit. So naturally, because I'm dressed as a Pokemon trainer with Pokemon paraphernalia, it should come as no surprise that today I'm reviewing a comic from Star Trek The Next Generation. This is the first comic ever published for Star Trek TNG, released only a few months after the series debuted. And if you're a fan of my show, this is also the same comic series that featured the crew teaming up with the Grinch to hunt down Santa Claus. And if you didn't know about that previously, congratulations! You've just heard the weirdest thing in your entire life. But we're taking a step back to the first issue of the 6-issue miniseries that's not really a miniseries, because the issues are each standalones. And let's start off with the cover, which is not very good. Oh sure, all the little diagrams and Okuda drawings are quite impressive, but for a comic cover, they don't exactly draw the reader in. Then again, it's basically the visual equivalent of technobabble, so it's probably pretty accurate. Some of the diagrams of the Enterprise are repeated and copied as if they were reflected somewhere. My friends, we have finally discovered what the hell multimodal reflection sorting is! Also, the artist was apparently under the impression that the Bassard collectors of the ship were actually headlights. They are? We open in space! Where it is the final frontier, aside from other dimensions, other forms of consciousness, time travel, and basically all the other frontiers that we haven't quite gotten to yet. I would say, with the way the panels are progressing, that this is meant to be like the opening theme song of the show, but I don't quite recall the Enterprise flying out of the sun at the end like this one does. Or perhaps they realized how goofy this comic was going to be, so they decided to just fly into the sun and end it now. The first issue is titled, Where No One Has Gone Before. And aside from the fact that we've had 2 episodes of Star Trek already called that, with slight modification of course, it is a blatant lie of a title, since they will be traveling to a planet in this comic fully populated by people, so they are actually just boldly going second. But hey, semantics! Humans haven't gone there before, and they're the only ones that count. Captain's log, stardate 41187.5. The USS Enterprise slices through the pitch thickness of an unmapped sector like a shaft. I can dig it. Her own legend and those of her predecessors serving us as fuel for this and all her subsequent missions. And yet the gas price for that fuel is still way too expensive. Traveling with us, the constant reminder of why we're out here. Families. We're reminded that we want to get away from our families, but they won't leave us alone. Most notably, children. The generations of the future who deserve to know what's out here in order to press on. Their very presence is my pressure to perform, our need to succeed. We'll just ignore the first episode of the damn show where I made it explicitly clear that I hate children and don't want to see them at all. We then see the bridge of the Enterprise and a 2-page spread that seems off. I can't exactly say for certain what it is. It seems like the proportions are wrong, like it's been stretched or condensed or something. And there's a lot here I can make fun of. For starters, the artist apparently couldn't decide which turbolift the guy who's split in the middle of the page comes off, because both turbolift doors are open. Data's chair seems to be really wonky, like he adjusted the sleep number on it so that he was rolling off to the side. Looks like a really high ceiling on the bridge, but then look at Troy in her chair. Her legs are so long that I feel she could jump and touch the ceiling without any effort. And that's not even getting into the dialogue. As you predicted, Counselor Troy, a rather uneventful transport through the sector, much the way I prefer long treks. Considering the entire series is, well, a trek, saying that things should be uneventful is not a good way to keep your audience's interest. My record for faultless projections is not quite 100%. As a matter of fact, I've never truly been comfortable sharing my visions as any kind of gauge, since the margin for error is a distinct reality. Wait, she has visions of the future? Okay, in that Grinch comic I mentioned, she was a full-on telepath too. Why is it that these comics are giving her every psychic power in the book, except for the one she actually had on the show? Data interrupts to mention that they're entering the Tri-Betylene star system. I realize this may sound odd, but I'm very excited about this mission. Yes, Data, that is very odd, considering you're not supposed to have any emotions like excited. Seems you're excited about each and every mission, Lieutenant Commander Data. No, he really isn't. The last time he got excited about something on the show, it was about how much he enjoyed killing things. What? This is pretty worrying. As Picard monologues about how interesting it'll be seeing the local life on the planet they're approaching, Riker feels the need to practice his upcoming modeling career in his chair. I will say this, anyone see that YouTube video of Riker sitting down? Dude doesn't know how to sit in a chair anyway, so this is actually the most accurate character representation in the comic so far. Still, even Picard calls him out on the bizarre sitting. And of course, Riker, embarrassed, sits normally. Still a bit conscious of Captain Picard's reputation, trying to relax, trying a little too hard. I hope Picard-senpai notices me. Picard orders Worf to try to start collecting information about the planet while making a gun gesture with his hand. Pazzow, I caught you, Mr. Worf. Worf reports that they're not getting much from the range they're at, and they'll wait a little bit to get anything else. In the time it's taken for you to report, Mr. Worf, we've probably come within range. I'm well aware of that, sir. But a little small talk doesn't hurt either. Worf, Klingon warrior, known for his propensity for small talk. Anyway, the computer starts giving out information on the planet, including that there are sapient humanoids who are the dominant species of the world. Mr. Worf, establish contact with the sentients. We don't know their technological level or if they even know other life exists in the universe, but I never really liked the Prime Directive anyway. However, he's interrupted by the arrival of Dr. Crusher. Captain, excuse the interruption, but this has gone on long enough. I am tired of having my comic panels be slanted in a bizarre way for absolutely no reason. No, she's complaining about having waited weeks for certain medical supplies to arrive. Isn't this something that should be brought up at the staff meeting? Oh, and for some reason she brought Wesley with her. He has no reason to be there, he just hangs around his mother like a sad puppy and no social life. Dr. Crusher, you're abusing your bridge clearance. This is not the time or place for this discussion. And I've told you before about bringing your son up here. Seeing children makes me feel pressure to perform for the future. We can't have that. They're interrupted again, this time by the actual inhabitants of the planet, the Syntagis Feluvians, who say over audio that they love meeting new life forms and invite them to come on down. Picard tells Riker to assemble a diplomatic away team. And, Captain, the natives seem friendly. Will you require my services any further? No, Lieutenant Yar. You're relieved of bridge duty. I mean, it's not like the aliens could actually be hostile or that the diplomatic away team would require security, Lieutenant Yar. No. Just take the rest of the day off.
What happened to the proportion of his upper body in that frame?
Wow. indeed, before Picard and Crusher can get into another argument about medical supplies, the ship suddenly lurches, as if it was hit by something. But no, that's fine, Yar. Go take a load off. We got this. Picard orders everyone back to their posts, and indeed, the planet fired upon them. Hey, who here feels they need more Wesley Crusher in their lives?
No!
Well, too bad. You're getting it anyway. Wesley inflicts himself on us by posing really weird and telling Yar how to do her job.
Shouldn't we have our shields up? Lieutenant, channel the ship's auxiliary power to deflectors.
I'm Security Chief Officer, kid. I know how to activate the deflector shields. Yeah, but you apparently don't know when it's appropriate time to take your lunch break, Yar. Doctor, take your son and vacate my bridge immediately. We cannot have the distractions you're causing while under fire. I'm also giving you a thumbs up. What's up with that?
Good job.
The Theluvians report that they're not firing on them, despite the fact that they are very clearly firing on them. Attention, travelers. We have done nothing. We have initiated neither offensive actions. We are merely firing our death ray of peace and friendship at you. Worf suggests that it's a neighboring country or something other than the ones they made contact with, but scans indicate that the Theluvians only have a single city-state on their world. Only a single city on the entire planet? The Theluvians must not mind urban sprawl. I was just about to get to that, and yeah, Coruscant in Star Wars is a city enveloping the entire planet, but that's not what they're saying in this comic. They're saying everything's concentrated into one little city on the whole friggin' planet. Otherwise, the option of a neighboring area would be more likely.
Mega City 1.
Mega City 1.
Oh,
Picard invites Riker and Troy into a meeting in his ready room to get input from them on what to do. He wonders if they should still send down a away team, and I wonder why they don't ask the Theluvians who the hell did shoot at them if they're not responsible.
it's probably the planet.
And just to show how brilliant these people have been at forward thinking, only now does Troy recommend that they bring Yar along as a security precaution. They weren't going to send any security before, and you needed Troy to point it out to you? Troy's job on the bridge is to state the blindingly obvious, so her talent for that is finally being utilized well, but only because everybody else is a moron. Shouldn't be anything but standard diplomatic procedures if all goes well. They fired on you! Twice! Troy suggests that she come along as well, since her abilities may help them figure out what the deal is with the attack on them. Deanna, I'm afraid I cannot let what's happened between us before stand in the way of success of our meeting with the Theluvians. So come on. Okay, thanks for stating that, Riker. How would we ever get by without you providing exposition to your ex-girlfriend about things she's already aware of? So, who's in the mood for something silly and stupid, I mean, besides all the stuff we've already seen. An announcement goes out on the ship signaling for the backup officers for the con and operations positions on the bridge, since both Geordi and Data will be going on the away team. And we meet those replacement officers, the Bickleys! A husband and wife who, as their name suggests, bicker. That's the joke. And as we see here, the call apparently interrupted them changing into their Dr. Doom cosplays. I mean, just, what? With the capes and no pants for either of them? I know Star Trek Online allows for a lot of uniform customization, but I don't quite recall capes being standard attire during the show. But yeah, they bicker and fight. They even say they need to stop bickering and yelling at each other when they reach the bridge, and then they continue even when they're on the bridge. I would tell you what they're saying, but it's all just noise. Stuff like, you take too long to change, or you're stupid. And it's all pretty irrelevant considering everyone has proven to be stupid today. Even Picard is sick of this crap, but apparently while Picard is perfectly capable of telling Crusher to shut up and take her idiot son off the bridge, he can't tell two people to stop fighting or else they're fired. This is but one of the reasons I'm still not sold on having families aboard starships. Okay, one, they're married and both in Starfleet. The fact that they fight isn't good enough reason to not have families on the ship. Two, was it a mirror universe Picard who did that opening narration? You seem pretty on board with the idea of families on the ship during that. Or are you just covering your ass for Starfleet when they read your logs? Also, the artist is apparently under the impression that the turbolift doors are always open. Why? Not even elevators at the time did that. Picard is told that the away team is ready to beam down, which means that he decides to head to the transporter room, even though he's not going himself. Take me to Deck D. Okay, nerd moment here. Not that any of you here at a convention would know anything about nerd stuff.
I know.
But the decks of the Enterprise used numbers, not letters. They must have been really, really early drafts about the characters in the ship when they're making this thing. Or they were just stupid, never assumed that stupid isn't an option. Upon emerging from the turbolift, Picard runs into Wesley. Oh goody. Wesley has decided to act like he's sneaking around, judging by the way his shoulders are pushed up and he's getting ready to do jazz hands. Are you going down to Syntagus the Louvre, sir? Are you going to kick their alien butts for attacking us? Or are you going to follow the Federation's Prime Directive and lay off? I guess the Prime Directive in those early days was, it is forbidden to fight back if someone shoots at you. This is exactly why I have that theory that Starfleet only has 2 ships active at any given time, you know. Young Mr. Crusher, I most certainly am not going to kick any butts. We have torpedoes for that, young man. Surely, Federation Regulation 12... Okay, what the hell is Wesley doing there? Is he making gang signs at Picard?
Let your fingers do
Vote tight, West man. Dr. Crusher runs into them too and tells Wesley to scram, while she leans against the doorway as if she was posing for a bit more mature version of the show.
Oh, God.
Oh dear, I seem to have dropped my hypospray.
But then Dr. Crusher tells Picard to talk to the hand.
Mind crush.
Actually, it's character development stuff. Blah, 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 character backstory that was already established on the show, and therefore this is just painful exposition about their history together. And dear Lord, is this an awkward way of framing these panels. Makes it look like Dr. Crusher is 2 feet taller than Picard. Picard continues on his way to the transporter room, and now Riker is in the same pose that Dr. Crusher was in, leaning against the door. Oh dear, Captain, I seem to have dropped my hypospray. And the reason that Picard is in the transporter room? So he can brief the away team, since apparently doing that while they were already on the bridge would have just been impossible. It's not like the captain should be on the bridge while the ship is being fired upon or anything. He explains that each of their duties in the mission, though Geordi only gets your past contributions to away missions makes you an asset to any team. Whatever the heck that's supposed to mean. Maybe he just figures that the Thuluvians are big fans of reading Rainbow. Commander Tiana Troy, your abilities as a telepath are of obvious value when meeting new life forms. The Thuluvians' true motives are our main concern on this mission. So be sure to invade their privacy at your leisure. Who gives a crap about their rights?
In the future, can't you just, you know...
Too late, you had your chance. And now I lost my place.
See what you did.
So they beam down into a forest, apparently, and not an embassy like the Thuluvians said they'd be beaming to. Seems like that's the kind of thing a normal scan would pick up, but whatever. Point is, they get fired upon as soon as they arrive. A combination of Geordi's visor and Troy's abilities lets them quickly find their attackers, and Tasha readies her phaser to fire back. However, Riker orders her not to. We cannot afford to make any diplomatic errors in judgment. Not yet. Captain Picard made it clear that we are to strive for a positive first contact. It would be a diplomatic faux pas if we didn't let them kill us all.
You're acting defensive.
I do not get this comic. Just because you come in peace does not mean everybody else does.
You have a right to defend yourself.
Oh, and of course, what's even better, the Tuluvians have come armed with a giant battle wagon. Oh, did I call it? Yeah. Giant battle wagon covered in guns. This is definitely the best time to not get your guns ready. As the battle wagon starts opening fire, Tasha suggests they split up to make it harder for them to hit. Riker finally letting her use her damn weapon. Though be careful, we don't want diplomatic negotiations to break down or anything.
What is Metroid Other M?
Back on board the Enterprise, Worf reports that the Tuluvians are still waiting for the landing party to arrive. Picard quickly orders the pantsless Bickleys to find the away team and not argue with one another, or else they'll be confined to quarters. I'm guessing whatever airborne virus that made everyone stupid, probably released by Wesley, just to guess, is finally wearing off. Back on the planet, Geordi and Data are still looking around to figure out where they are, and the battle wagon attack seems to have stopped for the moment. Geordi points out that he doesn't like the quiet, and Data concurs. It's strange. When the bombs are falling, my adrenal fluid really gets flowing. And there's nothing like the threat of termination to make you really feel alive. There's nothing I can add to that. Data just said that. And speaking of things that people just said, sometimes you androids really throw me. Geordi, Data is the only android you have ever met. Because until you guys found lore later on that season, as far as you knew, he was the only android in existence. I seriously want to see what the character notes were. I'm not kidding. I love seeing early process stories and early ideas that got completely thrown away by the time this comic came out. Oh, and then the battle wagon finds them again and arms this big freaking cannon right at them. How the hell did that thing sneak up on you guys? The two make a run for it, but only find themselves cornered at a rock wall. A hatch on top of the battle wagon opens, revealing this He-Man wannabe who is holding both a laser gun and a bow and arrow. You are mine, strangers. You can run no further. I have won the game. And now all of you have lost the game. I don't care how stupid that was. I couldn't let that pass.
I called it.
Data and Geordi surrender, but Tasha then swings down and kicks He-Man away. She had snuck onto the battle wagon and remained unnoticed by it because it was so huge. Reinforcements for He-Man quickly arrive, forcing the crew to take cover. Data starts climbing up the battle wagon so he can take control of it, like any video game with vehicles. And indeed, Data takes control and shoots at them with their own battle wagon. And this is why you don't leave your keys in your car. The attackers surrender, but their response to this is strange. Let us go, or we'll tell. I think negotiations may have actually broken down because they're